Needed. All right, so yeah, I first saw Scream 1 right before I saw Scream 2, and, I'd seen the trailer for Scream 2, and it made me want to watch the first Scream film so that I could go see the second Scream film in the theater, and then after renting it and watching it, I actually asked for it for Christmas and got it on VHS that year. I think I got the one that had I can't remember which cover it had now. It may have been the one with Courtney Cox on the cover, I think, is the one that I got, the first one that I got. And so it's just very it the second film fits in really well with the first one. You can really tell that it was really planned to do a second one, and it the continuation of the storyline in the second one from the first film just really, really fits well. And they mesh really well together. I do like the first movie better than the second one. I know some people like the second one better, but I put them both in S tier. Um, those movies are both great. Um, now, Scream 3. Uh, um, Scream 3, it was really exciting when I first watched this because this was the first Scream film that I saw in the theater on opening night. And the experience in the theater was a little reminiscent of the first scene in Scream 2. Like it was sold out and just they'd oversold the theater and so there weren't enough seats and they ended up like selling us a ticket for an earlier showtime that had open seats still and trying to make us go in and watch Scream 3 in a different theater that had already started like 30 minutes beforehand. And so we had to talk to a manager and get him to let us into the right showing. It was crazy. The movie's crazy too. I remember watching on MTV Snowed In, and they had Courtney Cox and David Arquette, um, and I can't remember who all they had, but they had a bunch of people, and then they'd have performances by like Power Man 5000 and other bands that were on the soundtrack to the movie. And the movie was wild. I didn't feel that it meshed as well with the first two movies as the second movie did. It still made sense. It was still an enjoyable movie. Um, and it was great seeing that on opening night. I love watching movies on opening night because it just adds so much to the experience being there and having other people watching it at the same time and the entire crowd reacting to what's going on screen. And so the experience was awesome, but after rewatching the movie, um, there's just stuff that doesn't make sense, and it's not as great as the first two movies. And it's still a good movie. Like with most franchises, there are some pretty bad movies. Like there are some pretty bad Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street movies. A ton of terrible, terrible Hellraiser movies. Um, but the Scream franchise has been really consistently good, and so that's the lowest ranking I have so far is B on Scream 3. And Scream 4 I am gonna put up in A tier. Now I really, really like Scream 4. My experience with this movie was a little bit crazy because I didn't realize that it was even out when it first came out. And it wasn't until it actually came out on DVD that I saw it in the store and went, "Holy crap, there's a Scream 4? Why do I not know about this?" And then I was looking at the case and I'm like, "Wait a second. It's written by Kevin Williamson and directed by Wes Craven, and I still didn't hear about this movie?" And I watched it, and that first scene really had me hesitant, like, "Oh, maybe this is why I didn't hear about it," because it just felt like it went on too long. And I mean, I get it. It's interesting. They're really subverting expectations by keeping it going like that, but it's like a comedy film where they would keep something like that going to mock it. And I just wasn't crazy about that scene, and I'm not crazy about the whole like very old Hollywood Vaseline on the lens for a close up on an aging actress kind of look for the entire film. I wasn't crazy about that, but that is just, you know, one thing, and it's really not that big of a deal because the overall movie and the story is just great. Like, so much better than I expected it to be with having this new cast of characters and having the older characters sort of passing the torch because this is really sort of a passing the torch movie. Even though, a lot of the kids die, almost all of them die, and so there's no one really left to carry on the torch. But it definitely worked as far as having a new generation come in and incorporate that into the older cast of characters. I thought that was really well done, better than most movies do that. Next generation movies typically aren't great. They either focus a lot on the new characters and the characters from the older movies just feel a little out of place, or there's too much involvement from the older characters and you don't really get the time to get to know the new characters or get invested in what is going on with them. And I think that Scream 4 really struck a nice balance between those two things. And I really liked the movie. Now, Scream, I'm going to put that in. mm, uh, I I'm going to put that in C tier. Um, Now, again, I do like this movie. I enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it. I just felt like a lot of the really interesting things about the movie that I liked are things that are already done in Scream 4. And some of the new elements, some of the newer horror stuff, and the things with fandom um, just weren't done as well as they could be. And this movie just really didn't feel like it had enough to say on its own. Like, it really felt like it was leaning on the other Scream movies, and it just was its own thing, definitely, but it just felt too tethered by the other movies. And I'm really hoping that this next movie will be better than this one and that they will be able to explore ideas that they sort of presented in that movie, but didn't really take the time to develop and evolve. And that hopefully this movie, they'll kind of be able to spread their wings and we'll get something really original. Because the thing about this movie to me is that the Scream movies always seem really ahead of their time when they come out. And so then later on, um, they just seem like they're still relevant. Whereas this movie didn't seem so much ahead of its time as of its time. Like, it very much fit into the horror landscape when it came out more than the other movies did because they were all forward thinking. So yeah, um, I did like it, but just it wasn't great. Now, as for the TV series, I was actually really a fan of this TV series when it came out, and I thought that a lot of the things they did were interesting. Again, some of the things weren't as original because it came out just a little bit after Scream 4, and it felt very much in that era, um, with Scream 4, but it was interesting taking the concepts of Scream and applying those to a TV series and kind of discussing the differences between like a horror television show and what that would look like compared to what a horror movie looks like and how the rules are different for that. So that was very neat. And I am going to put that in B tier as well. Because I can't justify ranking it over Scream 3 because it's not as good as Scream 3. So I can't put it any higher than that. But as far as the TV series, if I was just ranking the seasons of the television series, I'd probably rank that pretty high. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the second season in the same tier. I didn't care as much for the second season. I did like that in the first season, there was some things that at the end, I really felt, you know, there's some things that happened that it was very clear that weren't resolved in the first season. And at the end of the first season, it kind of seemed like they were just going to ignore these loose ends. And then in the second season, when they picked that up, it was really satisfying to see that, it wasn't just sloppy storytelling, that they actually were going to go somewhere with that, had intended to go somewhere with that, even though it felt like they sort of didn't have as much material to work off of in the second season. Like they had done most of what they wanted to do in the first season, and a lot of the stuff in the second season was just kind of stuff to keep it going. I I liked it. It was interesting. It was a pretty decent season, but it just wasn't as good as the first season. And the third season, which is technically like its own show, like it's totally unrelated to the other two. Everything's different. I know a lot of people really hated the Brandon James mask. I actually had the Brandon James mask right here, but I know a lot of people really hated that mask, and so they were glad to see the Ghostface mask back in season 3, but I just felt like it wasn't great. It was okay, it was decent. Um, I just got a little bored with it sometimes, and I would watch a few episodes and then, kind of move on to something else and then come back and watch a couple more. And there just wasn't anything that really stuck with me like in the first two seasons of the TV series. And it didn't quite do it for me. Um, but again, it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. Um, so it just wasn't great. And so as you could see, all of my rankings for everything in the Scream series is on the upper end of the tier list. And that's not just me being generous. I really think that the Scream franchise in general, is a really good franchise, and that there's not really any terrible, terrible things that have come out from Scream. And probably, the worst thing I would say is the third season of the TV series. And even that, I mean, it was pretty good. I watched it all. It just wasn't my favorite of the series, and definitely is far from my favorite television series in general. So yeah, that's my ranking. Um, I don't really know what else to say about that. I do want to go through. I'll show you guys my my masks. I have my masks here. I've had a lot of Fun World masks throughout the years, and I don't have most of the masks that I have owned now, but I do have these masks. These are the masks that I still have. I have the bleeding ghost face mask, and that's actually a newer version of the bleeding ghost face mask. It's one of the um, ones with the flatter chin. Like, you can get masks like that at the dollar store where they have the chin like that. I think I got that one at Walmart, but the problem with the older ones was that it had the chin and it had the plastic part on the tip of the chin, and the blood would get caught down in there. So the fact that this one kind of flattens off is much better. I don't have the blood in the mask right now because I mean it kind of dries up and gets stuck in there, and so then I also have this silver mask here from Scream 5, and then I have the Dead by Daylight, um, or as I like to call it, the Red Right Hand fan film mask. And then of course I have this mask. This is actually Scream 4 version of it. I had some older ones. I had one of the original. Well, I don't know if it was original. It was before the Scream movies came out, but I had one of those, and I don't have that anymore. I had not just that one. I had like several of them because they had them at Walgreens, and when they put them on clearance, I actually went in because I bought one and I had that, and then they put them on clearance after Halloween, and I went and bought like one of each, and there was like four of them, four different ones. So I don't have those anymore. Um, I think they'd be worth some money if I did. So that's a little disappointing, but I do have this this Scream 4 mask here. I also had the one that came with the robe that had like a weird bib thing that came out, I think, when Scream 2, after Scream 2 came out, is when they came out with that one. Yeah. And then I have the What's Up um, Bud Light commercial scary movie mask. Um, and then I have the Viper mask with the red hood. And when I saw that, because I know it came out because of Dead by Daylight, and that's the reason they have that mask. But really, really wanted one with the black shroud. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, do they have one with the black shroud?" And no, they just had tons of the one with the red shroud. And then, of course, I have the Brandon James mask right here that I was talking about a little bit earlier, which kind of has a Scream sort of look to it. It's quite a bit different, but I mean, it worked for the series. And I actually saw one mask that they had, I think, at Walmart this year that looked like a cross between that mask and the actual Scream mask. It was weird, but yeah. So who all's going to see the Scream movie today, and who's waiting till later? I will probably go see it tomorrow. I won't see it tonight, um, just because I have stuff to do. But tomorrow during the day, maybe, if they have any showings during the day. Sometimes they don't have any until like 4 o'clock where I am. Will be like the earliest showing they have. But yeah, so I'll definitely see it before this weekend, and hopefully get a review of the new Scream movie out, and talk about that on my channel. So thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Uh, I really am not experienced with doing a lot of live streams. I haven't done a whole lot. This is actually my first live stream that I've done by myself, and I'm used to doing pre-recorded videos, so I have sort of my script to fall back on, and then editing to kind of help if I make any mistakes. And so live streaming is quite a bit different. because it's just off the cuff, and there's just the nervousness of wanting to keep talking and not let there be any periods of silence. Um, so hopefully I will get better at this as I start doing it more, because I want to start doing more live streams, and hopefully I will do some more soon. And yeah, so that's it. I just wanted to rank all the stream movies before the new one comes out. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, can you please like it? You can also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be updated whenever I post a new video or whenever I go live. And until next time, keep on creeping on.